Oh, I think my socks are wet now.
Hey, what's happening? I'm Scott. This is Motivated by Mountains, and this is part 2 of doing a deep dive on gear from last year. If you're interested in checking some of this stuff out further, I will put links to everything in the description of the video. And of course, if you have questions, drop those in the comments and I'll be happy to answer as best I can, or you can even shoot me an email, however you'd like to do it. This is the gear that I just wasn't super stoked on last year. So let's start with this guy here. This is the Tarp Tent Pro Trail. It's lightweight, it's super simple to set up. It's fairly roomy inside as far as the length and the width go for one person. But this shelter, when you set it up, number one, you have to crawl into the end of the shelter, which I'm not a huge fan of. It's kind of tight getting into the front end of the shelter. And when you sit up, being that it's basically pitched like an A-frame, when you sit up in the front of the shelter, it has a tendency to, your head has a tendency to get very close to the top of the shelter. If you have any condensation, your head is going to get wet. That's pretty common with a lot of single wall shelters, but I found with the Pro Trail, there's just not much room. And because it tapers down toward the foot end of the shelter, you really have to be like jammed right up in the front. And it was just too tight for me. So it's not a shelter that I plan on hiking with a whole lot in the future. I've been trying out quite a few different shoes over the last year. And I've always trail run, hiked for the last few years with ultras, the Lone Peaks, different variations. I've been hiking in those since the 3s. Been a pretty big fan of those shoes up until the 4.5s. I did like the 4.5s, but I've been hiking with them for so long, I kind of felt like it was time to try something different. So heard a lot of people talking about the Topos, ended up trying out the Topo Terra Venture 2s. While I do think they're a nice hiking shoe, they're just a bit more structured and rigid of a shoe, I guess, than I'm used to, and more so than I prefer. I do think they would be pretty good for someone else who's looking for more of, like, not necessarily purely a running shoe and not so much like a heavy clunking hiking shoe, boot-ish type of feel. These are kind of like right in the middle. At least that's the way they felt for me. So Terra Ventures just didn't work out for me. This guy here, I was looking for a different style of shoulder pocket, specifically to carry my phone, a backup battery so I could kind of charge on the go, because I do shoot video and photos on my phone, and throughout the day the battery can dwindle down quite a bit, so it's nice to be able to charge while I walk. Plus I wanted to be able to store some other items, sunglasses, things like that. So I gave this Gossamer gear pocket a shot, and while it did fit everything well, and it is padded so it protects your electronics and whatnot, the way that the attachment is set up here on the back with these crazy Velcro straps, I just didn't really like the design very well, and I didn't find that it was ever really secure to my shoulder strap. It kind of wiggled and moved around, and I just wasn't a huge fan. Also, I noticed that when hiking in heavy rain for several hours, the rain would get inside of the pocket and it would actually start to pool in the bottom. Eventually it would leak out, but it was definitely holding water, which I wasn't a huge fan. So, it's a nice pocket. I've actually been using it in my truck on my visor. It works really great for that, for my sunglasses and things that I can stick up there. So still using it, I'm just not hiking with it. This guy, Sawyer Micro. Yeah, this, I gave it a good long run. I hiked with it in 2000. No, I guess, I'm sorry. Let me back up. All of 2019 and then into 2020, I hiked with this filter, and eventually I just realized that it does not handle any sediment. If it's super clear water, you're good to go. It'll work just fine. But as soon as you get into any sediment, this thing just clogs up, and no matter how many times you backwash it, it just never seems to get back to a decent flow rate. So I stopped hiking with this thing as well. Frogg Toggs UL2 rain jacket. Jacket I've been hiking with for years. I really do love these jackets, but unfortunately, I hiked the Nusiak Trail, which is part of the Mountains to Sea Trail in North Carolina. I hiked that trail in December toward the end of the year, and there were a lot of overgrown sections. There were a lot of blowdowns. There was a ton of briars. It's a pretty gnarly trail in sections.
Oh my God, this is awesome. This is awesome. I like it. Oh yeah. I was almost up running.
And it just wrecked this jacket. I don't know if you can see all the holes to this thing, but it just shredded it. Just tore it all to pieces. And so, even though I love the Frogg Toggs, I do own another rain jacket that I like, and I've swapped back to that rain jacket over the last couple of months.
So quiet. So quiet.
So no more Frogg Toggs. Another thing, this is my Columbia Silver Ridge light polyester shirt. I've had this thing for quite a while, and although I do like it for hiking, it's comfortable, it breathes well. When it gets wet, it dries pretty quick. It's 100% polyester. It's been a good hiking shirt, and I've hiked in these for the last couple of years primarily, but the polyester is just crazy stinky. And I mean, I smell terrible when I hike. Everyone smells terrible after you've been on trail for a few days, and I'm totally cool with that. But I've also been trying to get away from polyester in places where I can, in all of my gear, just to try and get away from the plastic. And it's been a difficult thing to do, but I've been trying out a bunch of different stuff. So I wanted to try some other hiking shirts, and so I tried some hoodies. I'm also, I like to fish, fly fish, and I'm in the sun a lot for my job. I'm a landscaper. I'm outside all the time. So I was looking for something that was going to protect me from the sun, that I could also use for work and hiking and fishing, basically in kind of an all-around, super lightweight, breathable shirt. So I tried some hoodies. I figured that would be the best option. And this is one of the hoodies that I tried. This is from Ridge Merino. Cool company. All the stitching, everything in this piece is really nice. Their customer service is excellent. And I really wanted to love this hoodie. I really did. But unfortunately, a sun hoodie is supposed to be baggy. It's supposed to be a little bit big so it can breathe. But the sleeves on this hoodie are just crazy, crazy long. It has thumb holes, and I think if they were to close up the end of the sleeve a little bit so it would catch on your wrist, and then have a little stretch to pull over your hands, it might work out okay. But for me, the sleeves were just so crazy long that they were always falling over my hands. I would try and be, when I was fishing, tying on a lure or a fly or something, and these things are just getting all in my way. So that I just didn't quite dig it. It also comes with like a shoestring type of tie for the hood, which I wasn't a huge fan of because once again, it sounds silly, but you know, for my job and fishing, things like that, when you lean over and you're trying to mess with something, these long shoestring ties were just like in my face. So I actually replaced them with some shock cord and some toggles here, or not toggles, but cord locks, so that I could draw up the hood and not have anything hanging out. So overall, the hoodie worked, but it just, because of the super long sleeves, I can't really hike with it. I wouldn't be able to do that. It would drive me nuts. So that was out. Then I tried this hoodie here, which I really, really like. The fit is great. It's kind of it's a little bit more of a fitted fit. I guess you would call it a close to an athletic fit, but it's still loose enough that it breathes. It's super lightweight. And they had advertised it as Merino. So that, you know, I was super stoked. This is from Voormi, Voormi. See if you can see that there. It's also a ridiculously expensive hoodie. But because of the lightweight, the fit, and the fact that it was Merino, I was willing to throw down the cash and get this thing, and I was super stoked on it. And I wore it like constantly. It actually, when it came, it was like an off-white color, but it was so torn up and stained from hiking and working in it and just everything that I was doing every day in this thing. We had some leftover dye from some craft projects, and I actually ended up dyeing it this red color. The bummer of this hoodie is the fact that I noticed when I was hiking with it, when I would get really sweaty, this thing was super dirty. It smelled like a polyester shirt. It smelled like my Columbia shirt that I was trying to get away from. When I looked up the information on their website, it says that it's Merino, and they have all this information about how it's super eco-friendly, and they even have a page talking about microplastics and how important it is to get away from that. The thing that really bothered me about this hoodie and the company really is the fact that they, as far as I could tell, I could not find any information on their website anywhere where it states that this hoodie contains polyester. And I didn't even know it until I smelled it, and I was like, man, that smells like that funky polyester smell. It doesn't smell like Merino. Merino, sure, it gets stinky from your sweat and dirt and whatnot, but it doesn't stink like it stinks like you do. But Merino and alpaca and those natural fibers, like it's amazing how they don't smell. I mean, it's crazy. So then when I looked at the inside of this thing where it's printed, then I realized this is actually a blend of polyester and merino, and it's not like a little bit of polyester, it's a lot of polyester. It's like half and half almost. So I just feel like it's a scam, man, especially for something that this thing's like $120. $120 for a super lightweight sun hoodie that's not even 100% merino or not even close. And I do own some pieces of gear that are a blend of merino, nylon, and the nylon is added because merino is not super durable. And I understand that, but it's a small percentage, and they tell you up front that it contains nylon or these other synthetic materials where this does not. So I just felt scammed. All right. This is one other hoodie that I tried, and this is a polyester hoodie, but it's super, super lightweight. And I know a lot of people love this hoodie, and it didn't work for me, and here's why. So it's incredibly breathable. Breeze goes right through it. It's pretty awesome. It's super lightweight. It's comfortable. It has a very athletic fit. I spent a lot of time trail running in this thing, hiking, all sorts of stuff. But once again, it's advertised as a sun hoodie. And this thing, the sun goes right through it. The UPF rating on this thing is 30. So it's not going to protect you from the sun. Yeah, if you're out in the sun for a minimal amount of time and you're just looking for something to kind of keep the sun off, I suppose this would work. But if you're hiking in highly exposed areas all day, every day, or like me, you're also working in the sun all day, every day, this is going to get you a tan. Like, this is not going to protect you from the sun. So that was something that I just don't understand. And it's a great hoodie otherwise. It's a little weird too, the way the hood is made. The hood is really snug. Like, it comes right up around your chin, which I would think if you're looking for a hoodie that's a sun hoodie, you're going to be wearing it in extreme temperatures, heat. You want it to be open so you can vent that heat. And this thing is like tight around your neck. So fits great, super lightweight, super breathable, but it's got those weird things. And I believe that brings us to the last thing, which is kind of a big deal. I have been a huge fan of Darn Tough socks for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years, I don't know. It's basically, they're like the only sock that I wear. I wear them for work, I wear them for CrossFit, I wear them to hike in. They're guaranteed for life. So once you buy 5 or 6 pairs, you just rotate them. And if you have a pair that does finally work, wear out, you can go into a gear shop that sells Darn Tough, trade them out for a new pair, or you can spend $5 on shipping, send them to Darn Tough, they'll send you a new pair. So pretty awesome socks, pretty awesome warranty. I've been super happy with them, but over the last year, I noticed that when I would wear these socks for multiple days on trail, and they would get wet day after day, like if I had a lot of water crossings or if there was a lot of rain.
What'd you say?
They would tend to like stretch out and get kind of loose, and then I would feel them like kind of bunching up in my shoe, which I thought was kind of strange. So because of that, I started looking into some other brands of socks, and I have recently started running, hiking, working out, everything. I've picked up a couple of pairs of socks from a company called Swiftwick, and I've been really happy with them. They're also a Merino sock, and the way they're made, the way they're sewn, they're a little bit more of kind of a compression fit, just in certain areas. So they don't, at least so far, they don't seem to stretch out like the Darn Toughs when they're wet for multiple days. So going into 2021, I'll be using those as my socks, and still wearing Darn Toughs all the time. I didn't get rid of my socks, but I have integrated a pair or 2 of those Swiftwicks to see how it goes. So that's it. I'm gonna slide all this out and we'll move on to part 3, the gear of choice for 2021. Hope you liked all this information. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more. You can also check us out on Instagram. That's @MotivatedByMountains. So until next time, I'm Scott. See you again soon.